Welcome back to Hashtag Kangaroos. My name is Dean Vash. You can find me on X at Hashtag Kangaroos, Instagram, Hashtag Kangaroos Podcast. The podcast where it's all North Melbourne all the time. And today we roll solo as we gear up for one of the most talked about rounds on AFL calendar, I guess, gather round and a round 5 showdown against the Brisbane Lions. It's been a challenging start for periods for the North Melbourne Football Club, but opportunities don't get much better than this. And this is a good opportunity, a standalone occasion where footy fans from every corner of the country watching and a chance to measure ourselves against one of the competition's benchmark sides. We'll see where we're at. So it's a great opportunity. I know there's been mixed reports of a 3-1 start. At the end of the day, 3 wins is 3 wins. 3 out of 4 ain't bad, as they say. So in this episode, I'll break down where North are really at heading into round 5, the key matchups that can shape the contest, what success actually looks like against the Brisbane Lions, and the young Roos who need to step up or stand up on the big stage. This week, it's about growth, effort, and showing clear signs of progress, because Gather Round isn't just about a win this weekend, it's about statement performances, and not all statement performances are wins and losses. So settle in, whether you're listening on the commute, on a train home from work, or wherever you've been at work, working an afternoon shift, or counting down to the first bounce. This is your round 5 Gather Round preview, and you're listening to the Hashtag Kangaroos podcast. So before we even get started, or talk about Gather Round and the Brisbane Lions game, we have to start with Cooper Trembath, because what he's produced at the start of his AFL career has been nothing short of outstanding. The Rising Star nod this week is fully deserved. 8 goals in 4 games this season, and that's not just cherry picking out the front. Remember, that includes a week where he was forced to go back against Eagles and play a defensive role once Griffin Logue went down injured in the first 5 minutes, and he still made an impact in that game. Just a reminder, this kid was taken pick number 10 in the mid-season draft last year. Walking into a struggling stride and immediately proving he belongs at the level. His pressure, his work rate, his ability to hit the scoreboard, it's all translated straight away. No overthinking it, no easing him in, just genuine AFL traits on display. And before anyone jumps in, guess what? I'm not giving Brady Rawlings credit for this. No matter how much some people want to, this is about the player. This is about Trembath's hunger, his instincts, and his ability to execute when given an opportunity. And I'm pretty sure it was Will Thursfield and Liam Shields who scared him. And just to go back to it, in a season where, not so much this season, but in previous seasons where wins have been hard to come by, these are the wins that matter at the end of the day. Finding players that give fans belief, and Cooper Trembath has done that inside probably 7 games of football. Now we'll move on. Another worth tipping the hat to is probably Jack Darling, because it looks like he's about to hit a trigger for a 3rd year at the club, and fair play to him. He'll be 35 next year, and no one's pretending he's the athlete he once was. That part of his game has naturally faded. That comes with age. But what hasn't gone anywhere are the smarts, the work rate, and his understanding of the contest. He's been a good, serviceable leader and player for North Melbourne. He knows where to be, he competes, he talks, and he helps settle young players around him, which in this side right now actually matters. Last week was a perfect example of his value, where the game was there to be influenced late. He had a huge 4th quarter with some big individual efforts. The most notable one was that pressure on Wade Dirksen to force the kick out on a full. Full credit to him, especially when things were getting tight last week. He did a couple really good things. And that's just a veteran knowing exactly when to lift and set the standards. Is he a part of the next premiership side? Probably not, but he has been a positive contributor during a difficult rebuild phase. So, yeah, I'm sure a lot of you fans would agree with that. So, if that third year gets triggered, which looks like it will, good on him. He's earned it. Now we move forward. Before I get into team news, let's talk about the VFL team. Actually, hang on a minute. They've got a bye again. And honestly, and I'm going to go on a rant here, this is absolute nonsense. 4 rounds into the season, North Melbourne's VFL side has played 2 games and has had 2 buys. That's not a competition, that's a scheduling disaster. There are far too many teams in this league. It's bloated, it's messy, and it serves no real purpose in its current form. Either split it into 2 divisions or scrap the national concept altogether. And let clubs play where they belong. VFL, Sandford, Waffle, Quaffle. Keep it regional. Save the airfare, save the money. It will save millions for these football clubs, especially someone like North Melbourne. And let's be honest for a second, no one genuinely cares about the VFL team. So sorry about the whisper, but it's like no supporter cares whether the VFL team wins a premiership. That's not what this level is for. What supporters actually want is simple. How are the up and coming young kids going? How are out of form senior players responding? Who's pushing for selection? That's it. A tighter local competition would actually help with that. You'd get a better consistency, clearer roles, and Victorian clubs might even discover more players like Cooper Trembath playing for Blackburn Rovers coming through local football pathways. Instead, we've got a nonsensical, overexpanded, half-national garbage competition that can't even guarantee regular games for developed players. Honestly, scrap it, get rid of it. No one gives a shit. And I know they're talking about, oh, well, it's a VFL State of Origin week. We'll do that instead. And it's gather round, so we've got to focus on that. I don't care. Like, local football's still playing this week. My son's playing on Sunday. Just because it's gather round, the VFL have to stop. What a bunch of bullshit. No one cares about the VFL competition against Sandford. No one's going to watch it. Stop it. Just get on with it. Just make it local football. Another thing the AFL's getting wrong. I've got to take a deep breath there. Sorry about that, everyone. Sorry I've gone on a bit of a rant. I'll probably bring it up again, who knows. All right, let's get into team news because there are a couple of changes heading into this one. Now, Toby Pink comes out of the side for Griffin Logue. There's some talk that it could have been a knee issue for Toby Pink early in this week. Potential MCL concern mentioned, but yeah, I mean, fingers crossed it's nothing too serious, but I'm not too sure if it's an omission. It does say it's an omission, so we'll go with that and not an injury. Unfortunately, there is an injury with this individual, and that's Finn O'Sullivan. He comes out of the team with a jaw injury, and it looks like he'll be sidelined for 2 to 3 weeks. That's a shame because his form has been nothing short of excellent for a second-year player. A big reason why we beat Essendon a couple of weeks ago, tagging Zach Merritt out of the game, was very good against Zach Butters in round 1. Did a good job on Sam Walsh last week as well. Minimised his influence on the contest, so yeah, very unfortunate there. So, yeah, not much you can do about that. Coming into the side is Melbourne Premiership player and son of a gun, Paul Charlie Spargo, making his club debut. I watched him closely in the reserves, and he's genuinely been playing well in that high half-forward role. Last week, he finished with 17 possessions and 2 goals. It gave away a couple as well. And what stood out is his pressure, his work rate, and his foot skills, albeit in the VFL competition, but they have been very clean. He brings a bit of experience, some class, and importantly, forward half pressure, which we might need this week against players like the Brisbane Lions who like to start their transition football from the back half and like to play with a bit of speed out of that back half. So he's something this team needs more of against a side like Brisbane. If he can link up, apply pressure, and make smart decisions with the ball in hand, he's absolutely, he's earned his opportunity. Now, on the Brisbane side of things, the Lions regain a couple of half-decent players, Harris Andrews and Hugh McGluggage. I know a lot of people probably aren't thrilled about that. You hear the groan straight away. Oh, great, full strength Brisbane. But honestly, I don't mind it at all. If you're serious about measuring where you're at as a football club, and we don't know where we're exactly at. I know we've won 3 games, albeit against not great opposition and a loss against the West Coast Eagles. This is exactly what you want. I want Brisbane to be at their best. I want Harris Andrews organising that backline. I want Hugh McCluggage running both ways through the middle. Because if North Melbourne are ever going to take real steps forward, they have to test themselves against full strength sides, not depleted ones. This isn't about hoping Brisbane are off or missing players or having excuses baked in. It's about North being at their best, sticking to system, competing for 4 quarters and seeing what happens against genuine quality. If we rise to the challenge, fantastic. That tells us something real. And even if we fall short, as long as the effort, structure and intent are there, you still learn exactly where the gaps are. I'm not too sure about the structure and the method and the system just yet. I'm not too sure if we're just winning games on individual talent or if there is structure and the system. So we'll find out more over the coming week, and we'll find out a little bit more this week. And that's how growth actually happens. So bring it on, best versus best. Let's see where North Melbourne are really at. Now, player-wise, it looks like with team selection. It looks like Jai Simpkin is going to spend more time inside the midfield this week with Finn O'Sullivan out. And I'll be honest, I probably don't love it. Simpkin was pretty good on the wing last week, and if we're being fair, that's probably been his best position over the last 6 to 12 months. His running capacity, his decision making has been a little bit better on the wing, and his ability to link defence to attack has been more consistent, probably over on the wing as well. We've seen plenty of Simpkin as an inside mid, maybe an outside mid, I'm not too sure. We know what that looks like. It's solid, but I'd rather use this opportunity to develop and expose others. I'd much rather prefer Tom Powell getting more genuine midfield time. Colin McKercher continuing to learn his role that he's going to be accustomed to in the future. I think he's going to be a midfielder eventually, so I wouldn't mind seeing him getting a few CBAs. You can always push Tom Myers back in inside the defensive 50 just to help out there. There are enough ways to shuffle the magnets without pulling Simpkin out of the role where he's actually doing well enough. You can still make it work on the outside. Simpkin, Stevens and even Charlie Spargo can all rotate through a wing at different times. Spargo's played that link role before. He understands spacing and he can bring pressure when the ball hits the deck. I just don't think the answer every time someone goes out, or a midfielder comes out, is to throw Simpkin back in the middle. At some point, I think you've got to let the younger guys take responsibility and see how they handle it. But hey, what do I know, I guess. Now, it also looks like there'll be no real run with roles this week. Try saying that 5 times real fast. I don't think there's going to be a tag without Finn O'Sullivan on a Lachie Neale. No sitting on Will Ashcroft. No shutting down Hugh McCluggage. It looks like it's just about to be a head-to-head midfield battle. And honestly, that's a good test. The North Melbourne midfield has actually been really solid for most of the year. The work rate has been there. The contest has been there, and structurally they've been competitive against good sides. Last week was probably the exception for 3 quarters at least, and even then it wasn't across the board. I don't think it was the midfield's fault. The one area that didn't give us much was CCJ in the ruck, who unfortunately offered very little around the contest and at the stoppage. But outside of that, this group deserves a chance to stand up on their own. No hiding behind a tag, no safety net. Just see who can run, contest, spread and make good decisions under pressure against one of the league's best midfields, and one of the best midfielders we've probably seen in a long time. If North can stay connected defensively, limit clean centre bounce exits, like we've seen probably more so in the pre-season, and compete at ground level, and even without a run with roll, you can still make Brisbane work. And that's what this week is about. Not gimmicks, not band-aids. It's about measuring yourself honestly. Let's see who's ready. Another big talking point this week is the selection of CCJ. He wasn't great last week. There's no sugarcoating that. His impact around the contest and in the ruck was minimal. Didn't provide much as a target. I think he had six hitouts for the game. Cooper Trimbath got past that with only about a quarter of the CBAs that CCJ had. Didn't really influence the game in the ruck or forward of centre. So the question has to be asked, is this his last AFL chance? I'm going to say possibly, because if he produces... Oh, look, I'm going to say yes. Because if he produces another performance like last week, you'd have to think his AFL career is just about done. At least at this club, and I'd say, no other club's going to pick him up, put it this way. I don't think he's going to... Richmond are going to come back to him and say, yeah, you can come back now after leaving us when you were 20 years old. And the timing probably couldn't be worse either for him. Goat is just coming back, and there's genuine competition on that front now. On top of that, Cooper Trimbath has offered real value as a backup ruck option, not just surviving the role, but just actually impacting games with probably his athleticism more than anything in the ruck, and his ability to compete in the ruck contest. So... sorry about that. That's a reality of a list management, I guess. When younger players are coming through offering more energy, flexibility and upside, you have to justify your spot every single week. And he's not a young kid anymore. This isn't personal, it's professional. CCJ needs to compete harder at stoppage, provide a reliable contest forward, and impact the game in moments that matter. Because right now, this feels like a big sliding doors moment for him. Perform this week and you extend your AFL life. Repeat last week's output and the writing is probably on the wall. Big week, no hiding for CCJ. He's got to step up. Another interesting talking point out of selection, I guess, is Griffin Logue coming straight back in after a little bit of a hamstring strain ahead of Toby Pink. And it probably does raise a pretty clear question. Is Toby Pink now the fourth defender when everyone is fit? Is he more of a backup option? Because it certainly looks like the club has settled on a preferred three tall defensive pillars. Right now, when fit and available, it appears they're going to go with Griffin Logue, Aidan Corr, Charlie Comben. That, to me, feels like a bit of a clear direction. Pink has been serviceable. He's quite good against Nate Caddy only last week. He's competed, he's filled a role when needed, but when the magnets are being set with choice rather than necessity, Logue looks like takes priority. I guess he gives you interceptability, aerial strength. He will kill a contest if the ball goes in deep, but I don't think he's as good as Toby Pink as far as a lockdown role. So it's going to be interesting. I guess with Corr as your leader back there and organiser, and Charlie Comben as an athletic, flexible tall who has the ability to intercept, I guess, if the ball goes in long and deep and play off his man a little bit. And, there's no shame in that. Every list needs its next man up, but it does look like the hierarchy is taking shape. And unless injury strikes of form, or anything like that, Logue, Corr and Comben are the preferred trio down back. So that'll be worth keeping an eye on as the season goes on, especially against bigger forward lines like Brisbane. They've got Oscar Allen. Sam Draper's probably going to go down there. Logan Morris is the athletic type. Ty Gallop is another player they've just plucked out of nowhere. So a good challenge for a defensive unit this week. So I have someone's come into the chat. Sorry about this. At Smashfire 8345. Hi, bro. Which country, bro? So that's not worth I don't know who this person is. So that's interesting. I am from Australia, talking about AFL football. So if you've got any questions about that, come in, please. So yeah, interesting that I've got a listener come in and he's asking which country I'm from. So I thought it was going to be an important question there, but I guess not. Anyways, we'll continue to keep moving forward. Another one is no Lockie Doveston again this week. Not in a team, not listed as emergency. And that's 2 weeks in a row of no football for Lockie Doveston because guess what? The VFL, that shambles of a competition, decided we're going to have another bye. Yes, so I just thought I'd whisper that. I don't want the AFL to hear. They might shut down my podcast. So what is with Lockie Doveston? Is he being managed again? Is he being rested again? Because let's be clear, you can't be rested if you're omitted. Words matter. I actually like what Banch bought last week, and I think he deserves another opportunity. So I've got no issue with him holding his spot. But if Doveston is out of favour, then just say that. Don't dress it up as rest when he's not even close to selection this week. He's not even an emergency. So it's a bit of a shame for a developing player. 2 straight weeks without senior or VFL football. You want these guys playing, learning, competing, not just sitting around with no clear explanation. But what do you do? The other thing that's clear is that Charlie Spargo probably comes in as the other small forward. That obviously reshapes the forward mix a bit, and it suggests the club this week is prioritising forward half pressure, a little bit of experience ahead of Lockie Doveston, and ball use maybe a little bit as well ahead of the upside of Lockie Doveston, at least for this week. So yeah, the Doveston situation probably raises a little bit, a couple, maybe a small eyebrow, like the people's eyebrow, like the Rock, just that one eyebrow. All right, let's finish with predictions. I expect Brisbane to be too strong in this one. I do think North can be competitive for 3 quarters. The effort has generally been there this year. The midfield has shown it can go with teams for long stretches. And yeah, and gather round games have been a bit up and down. They can stay tight longer than expected. So there have been a few upsets in gather round because you're playing on suburban Adelaide Oval. So anything can happen. It's not a bad time to play Brisbane Lions on these suburban grounds where it's a bit windy, a bit dewy, a bit open. So yeah, but eventually I think the experience, polish and depth of the Lions side will tell. When games open up late, which they generally do, Brisbane know how to control tempo, win critical centre bounces, and punish small mistakes. And that's usually where young sides get exposed. I can see North hanging in, staying connected, competing, and then being overrun in the last quarter. So I've got Brisbane pulling away late and winning by around 38 points. If that's how it plays out, like I just sort of said, I won't be disappointed, provided North bring pressure, play with its intent, and give a genuine 4-quarter effort. Because this week isn't just about the scoreboard. It's about seeing which players stand up. Maybe Zane Duursma gets another 3 goals. Cooper Tremba kicks another 3 goals. We get Charlie Spargo really contributing this week and looking like he's going to be a very good contributor throughout the course of the season. So it's about which system holds, which systems hold, and whether the group continues to build. That's where the real wins are for this week, I feel anyway. So I'm going to go a potential match winner. And for this week, I have chosen Charlie Comben. Now, he was huge last year when we played him, particularly with his intercepting marking and ability to read the flight of the ball. When he's confident attacking contest, he genuinely changes the way games are played behind the ball. If Comben can intercept like he did last season, chop off Brisbane's inside 50s, take marks, impact contests, then that keeps North in the contest for longer. It slows Brisbane's ball movement. Ball movement gives our midfield a little bit of a breather and allows us to set up defensively rather than constantly scrambling. What was that game a few years ago where they had 32 inside 50 marks or something like that? It was like a record. So hopefully none of that this week. So the Brisbane Lions forward line thrives on repeated entries and front half dominance. So Comben's reading of the play becomes critical. If his clunking marks are at least killing a contest, probably him and Griffin Logue, North stay competitive. If Brisbane get easy looks inside 50, that's when the game can get away quickly. So while the spotlight will naturally be on Brisbane's midfield stars, and they've got a lot of them, Comben's influence behind the ball could be one of the biggest factors in whether this stays a three-quarter time contest or turns into something uglier late. A potential breakout player this week could be, I'm going to go Charlie Spargo. So on debut, there's always energy, but what I like about Spargo is that his selection is form-driven. His 2 weeks in the VFL have been really good. Really good. And I wasn't a big fan of getting Charlie Spargo into the club. I made that quite clear in the off-season. I didn't understand it, but he deserves his spot. And yeah, he's earned his way through the reserves, and he comes in knowing exactly what his role is. Sorry, I just got lost for words there. Playing that high half-forward role, he's shown he can find the ball. In the VFL anyway. Hit the scoreboard and most importantly, apply consistent pressure. That's where he's played his best football, probably at Melbourne as well. 17 disposals and 2 goals last week is a solid output, but it's the repeat efforts and foot skills that stand out. He won't against the Lions. He won't be asked to be a star. He'll be asked to compete, lock the ball in, make good decisions, and bring others into the game. If he does that, he can absolutely cement his spot moving forward. Debut games can sometimes go one of two ways. You either get caught in the occasion, or you lean into the work. From what I've seen, Spargo looks like the type who'll lean into the work, I should say. He looks like a hard worker. If he does, this could be the start of something, not just a one-off, but a genuine role player emerging in his forward line. So we'll have to wait and see. But that just about wraps it up for Gather Round Preview against the Brisbane Lions. Not a long podcast. They generally aren't if I'm going to do it myself. So I will be back Monday. But after that, I am away in overseas in Thailand for a couple of weeks. So I won't have a podcast there for a couple of weeks. I thought I'll let you know now. I'll probably remind you listeners on Monday once I finish the review of the Brisbane Lions game. So, but there's plenty of other North content out there as well. So yeah, make sure to check out their podcast, Further North, the Shin Boners podcast. In Clarko We Trust. Marnie Cohen does some great work on YouTube as well. So make sure to check out the other ones when I'm away. So there's a lot to like about the way this North Melbourne side is building. Some genuine positives so far this year. There's going to be some big tests probably after next week, but there's a big test this week and a really good measure and stick game this week on a big stage, Gather Round. So it won't be easy, but that's exactly the point. As always, let's hope for effort, growth, and a few individual performances that give fans something to hang on to going forward into Richmond. And probably I'm thinking after round 6, that's when the real season starts for North. And if we can get to 4-2 after next week, I think it'll be a good start to the season. And that's something that we sort of aim for during the pre-season and going into the season. And I've got to admit, it was looking pretty shaky there for, in pre-season, probably against Melbourne. So we'll see. Anyways, I'll be back on Monday to review the game, go through what worked, what didn't, and where this performance sits in the bigger picture of the season. So thank you to all you lovely listeners for listening to Hashtag Kangaroos. Enjoy Gather Round. It's already started. I'm not even too sure what the score is at the moment. I think it's 2 teams that are under a little bit of pressure, Adelaide and Carlton. So yeah, enjoy that and enjoy the rest of Gather Round. Until then, bye for now.